Hi everyone, Randy Littleson, Chief Marketing Officer at Conga, and today I'm pleased to be joined by James Larsen, who is the Senior Vice President and General Counsel at Conga. So James, let's start by talking about the day in the life of a legal professional. How do you go about allocating time, workloads? What's a day in the life look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And as you can imagine, members of in-house legal teams are forced to wear many hats. In addition to all of the contracting activities, including inbound and outbound, many other types of issues come across our desks, such as intellectual property, patents and trademarks, facilities, leases, disputes when they arise, data security and privacy, bankruptcy issues, things of that nature. And so what we have done at Conga, in addition to everyone supporting customer deals, is that we each also have a couple legal focus areas. For example, those items I just mentioned. And we also leverage the Salesforce service request function, which allows stakeholders to engage legal and answer a few short questions that then route that service request to the pre-assigned legal team member. Right? That allows me to not be a gatekeeper for all legal issues that come in the door, but rather they get assigned automatically based on the type of issue or the type of support requested. That also allows me to keep track of what everyone's doing, right? To manage workloads. I can kind of see the volume that comes in. It also allows us to help each other out, okay? For example, if there's a very heavy week or a very heavy month for intellectual property, for example, and the particular attorney assigned to that focus area is overwhelmed, I can reassign that particular ask to a different team member for some overflow support. What the service request feature also allows us to do is stay on the same page, right? Everyone involved with that service request, including the requester, the owner, the management, can at a moment's notice see what's going on, see the status, track specific documents, share updates, mark it as in progress or completed or dormant, etc. And so that allows me to stay on top of the various work streams in any given day and the myriad tasks that we are asked to perform within the company.
So clearly one of the major roles of a legal function is to manage risk for the company. But at the same time, as you articulated, you're also involved in the deal flow. So you've got to balance risk and revenue for the company. How do you guys do that?
That's a really good question. At Conga, we work hard to be as sales friendly as we can and find that proper balance. Not all risk is bad, right? We just need to understand what we're signing up for and going in with our eyes wide open. While a particular wording or contract clause may look really bad on paper, what I refer to as optical risk, the actual risk might not be all that high. And based on experience and the nature of the business that we're in, right, it's important to evaluate actual risk versus paper risk. For example, we may be asked to provide some sort of limited indemnity for incidents involving physical damage to property or persons. We're in the SaaS business, right? The likelihood of Conga being responsible and being forced to indemnify for physical injury to people or property is very low. Not something to get worked up about. So what we try and do is understand the difference between optical risk and actual risk, strike that right balance between getting revenue in the door while not exposing the company to a singular event that could bankrupt us.
So sales clearly has a motivation to try to streamline and speed up the contracting and negotiating process. How can legal professionals actually aid them in that quest?
Well, as I mentioned previously, we try to be very sales friendly, even subscribing to the mantra that we're all in sales. One of Conga's core products is called Contract Lifecycle Management, or CLM. And what that allows us to do is automate many of the process steps in negotiating and signing a contract that would otherwise be manual, right? So our CLM tool allows us to prepare and generate contract drafts using a couple clicks from pre-approved templates. It allows the sales reps to be much more autonomous than they otherwise could be, right? It allows us to send contracts to and from the system rather than use email. It allows us to integrate Conga Sign, for example, into our CLM tool to automate the signature process. So we use as much technology as we can, CLM being one of those tools, to automate many of the middle office process steps that would otherwise be manual.
So over time, most companies accumulate a large volume of contracts, and then you may even acquire a company and bring in even more contracts. How do you stay on top of that? How do you manage risk? How do you know what's in those contracts as the number of contracts continues to grow?
Well, again, back to our discussion of tool sets. We use our CLM system as a contract repository that's searchable. Another tool that we use is called CCI, Conga Contracts Intelligence. That accomplishes two very important objectives. It allows us to create customized reports using AI to identify various key terms or data points in our repository. For example, I was recently involved in an M&A event where we needed to identify all contracts with liability exposure over a certain dollar amount, right? The CCI system allows us to do that by setting those parameters. Another key component of CCI, or something like it allows companies to ingest large volumes of legacy contracts into their contract management system and treat them as if they were created day one from that system, right? It automatically extracts predefined terms or data points, attributes as we might refer to them, and then auto-populates them into the proper field in your agreement record. Again, what that does is it allows very easy reporting and understanding obligations, ongoing obligations. It allows our renewals team to get ahead of the curve and be proactive on renewals, not looking backwards, but looking forwards. And that's been a really excellent tool for us in combination with our traditional CLM tool.
James, I'm sure like most functions, your team's been asked to do more with less. What have you done to increase or add efficiencies into your processes that allows you to continue to scale and meet increasing demand?
That is a challenge, and I'll respond to the do more with less cliche with another cliche: work smarter, not harder. We've talked about many of the tools that we use at Conga to try to introduce automation and autonomy into the workflows. A couple examples of how we've accomplished that is that legal works very closely with sales operations. And historically, they've come to us whenever there was a need to integrate a non-standard term or tweak a non-standard term in a contract or an order form. What we've done with them is we've created a playbook of sorts, and that's available in our CLM system as well. A playbook that allows the sales operations organization to have a predefined set, pre-approved set of non-standard terms that they can incorporate into contracts depending on the product set being sold. What that's allowed us to do is kind of push out the bottom 25% of those more administrative tasks that would otherwise, burden the legal team, and allows us to focus on more strategic and sort of higher value activity. Another example of doing more with less is in our NDA process. Our NDA template is preloaded and pre-signed into CLM. The reps on their own can go in, create a record, send that NDA to their prospect or partner, get it signed, get it back, import it, load it, it's there, activated, all without legal even touching it or being involved. And we can expand that similar model to many other agreement types as well, right? Some not so much. When there's more customization, like statements of work and even some of the order forms, a little bit more custom, but we've really attempted to templatize as much as we can and minimize the touch points, which benefits everybody, right? Sales doesn't want legally to become a bottleneck, and we don't want to spend all of our time doing administrative tasks that we can empower and educate the field to take care of themselves. There's always going to be exceptions, right? When we are forced to look at red lines or forced to use third-party paper. Clearly, those are the exceptions, not the rule, but we try and maintain the rule of templates as much as we can, and we've worked hard to make our templates very fair, right? We try and make them accurate and reflect a genuine partnership with our customers and partners in the market.
James, thanks for sharing your insights, and thank you for joining us. We invite you to learn more at conga.com.